Hello, everybody. How are you doing tonight? I just broke my glass. Good thing I have two glasses. Got my wine with Dave glass, but I literally ran downstairs into the other room to get some beer because we're going to have some beer tonight, and I broke my glass. Kind of a bummer. Listen, hey, it is Wine with Dave, and look, it's wine o'clock all night. I've got a really good guest on tonight, and I'm really out of breath right now. Hold on. All right, if anybody is watching, just leave a comment like this, and it will just show up on the screen just like that. All right, so tell me where you're from. That would be really good. Tonight I'm drinking Poor Judgment. Poor Judgment's kind of cool. They're local, 6%. It's an IPA, Gray Sail of Rhode Island. So I'm going to crack it open. I'm all out of breath. I literally ran from my basement to the room here. So now I'm just catching my breath. Oh my gosh, crazy. Hey, this is Wine with Dave. If this is your first time here, just go ahead and follow me. It'd be really awesome to do that. And give me some likes. Just kind of click on some likes. That would be really good. I really appreciate that. Tonight is episode 74. Look at that, episode 74. Tomorrow is going to be my big 75th episode. Been doing this since April 1st. When I realized that we're all going to be staying indoors, I might as well start a live show. So I did. And I am staying focused for all those days, April 1st. And actually tomorrow is also my 6-month anniversary of the show. So, yeah, go ahead and follow. Could certainly use the follows there. All right, let me get into the first segment, which is Did You Know? And a lot of people like the Did You Know thing. That's kind of hip. So I'm going to do this right now. Did you know? Did you know that a lion, okay? A lion in the wild usually makes no more than 20 kills per year. I don't know if you knew that. Don't know if you knew that. 20 kills per year. Did you know that in India, the country of India, they have a Bill of Rights for cows? A Bill of Rights for cows. What do you think of that? They care about their cows over there. Dartboards are made out of horse hairs. Did you know that? That is good. Poor Judgment. Great name, huh? Poor Judgment. What else do we have? Did you know that a donkey will sink in quicksand, but a mule won't? A mule cannot sink in quicksand. We all know a mule is half donkey, half horse, so it won't. I don't know. I don't know why it doesn't sink in quicksand. That's kind of weird, huh? Did you know that the Bible is the world's most shoplifted book? People steal the Bible, probably the most returned book after shoplifting, right? Feel guilty. Did you know, this is really cool, half of all bank robberies take place on a Friday. Half of all bank robberies take place on a Friday. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Get ready for the weekend. In Utah, it is illegal to swear in front of a dead person. So in case you're thinking of doing it and you're in Utah, do not swear in front of a dead person. That's a strange rule. Strange law, actually. You get arrested. And finally, it's illegal to carry an ice cream in your back pocket in Kentucky. You can't do it. I don't know why anyone would anyway. The stage right before frostbite, you know, when you get frostbit, the stage right before that, it's called frost nip. Frost nip. Did you know that Weird Al Yankovic wrote Albuquerque to be as a joke, specifically to annoy people for 12 minutes? It just goes on forever, but it ended up becoming one of his most popular songs. Albuquerque, look it up. Did you know that even though Fruit Loops are different colors, they all have exactly the same flavor? We went to a hotel in New York, and the lotion that they give you in the bathroom smelled really good. It kind of reminded me of my childhood. We couldn't put our finger on it. My daughter loves it. She's like, I love that. The Row Hotel in New York City, 8th Ave. It's got the freshest smell. And then it occurred to me, it smells exactly like Fruit Loops. That's why we like it. This is cool. In 1862, the King of Siam offered Abraham Lincoln many elephants on the grounds that and I quote, a country as great as the United States should not be without elephants. He offered him many elephants, but Lincoln politely declined. We could have had elephants here. In the wild, I don't know, in the desert, I don't know. Did you know that bullfrogs do not sleep? They don't sleep at all. This is freaky and funky. I love it. In 2014, a missing woman on vacation in Iceland was found when it was discovered, ready, that she was in the search party looking for herself. No joke. I kid you not. That is not a joke. That's crazy. Missing woman on vacation in Iceland was found when it was discovered that she was in the very search party that was looking for her. All right, well, that ends that segment of Did You Know? Usually I have kind of an interactive Did You Know, and I put a little question mark in there and you get to guess some of the answers, but today I just didn't feel like doing it. But you know, you could do me a huge favor. Click on the like button. That would be really, really good. Had a rough week. Had some sad news happen to me this week, actually twice over. So I could certainly use a little cheering up. Just do the little like. Think of it as click the like button. It's like $5. It's not, but anyway, it'd be nice. Today is Thursday, October 1st, 2020. And also leave a comment. I'm just wondering who's watching. It'd be really nice to know who's watching. Today is Thursday, October 1st. Let me get my stuff ready here. You know what today is? It's this day. What do you think of that? It's National Black Dog Day. Encourages the adoption of a dog in the darker shades. Black dogs are less likely to be adopted for no other reason other than their coloring. Regardless of behavior, size, breeding, personality, or age, the phenomenon persists. So if you have a black dog, which I do, I have a dog called Tilly. She's super cute. They're saying to spend a little extra time with your little black pooch. How cool is he? Look at him, just moving across the screen. Little black pooches. National Black Dog Day. That's cool. What else happened today? Well, this happened. In 2007, Radiohead's official website crashed after the band announced that their new album, In Rainbows, would only be available to order via Radiohead.com. Fans could pre-order the download at any price. The album could be free if you want, or a penny. They chose any price they chose, or pay $40 for a disc box, which included 2 CDs, 2 records, artwork, and booklets. It was crazy. I remember that when that came out. That was 2007. The first band to ever do that. Release an album and say, pay what you think. What do you think it's worth? I think that was clever. For all you horror fans out there, this also happened. Get this ready. This also happened in 1968. Tonight. Yeah, come on. 1968. cult zombie film Night of the Living Dead, directed by George A. Romero, starring Dwayne Jones and Judith O'Dea, premieres in Pittsburgh. The story follows 7 people who are trapped in a rural farmhouse in western Pennsylvania, which is under assault by an enlarging group of cannibalistic undead corpses. The film was completed on budget. Check this out. This is crazy. This is crazy. It was, first of all, it's completed in time and on budget for $114,000 and shot just outside of Pittsburgh, where it had theatrical premiere on October 1st, tonight, 1968. The film grossed $12 million domestically and $18 million internationally, earning more than 250 times its budget. Night of the Living Dead had been regarded as a cult classic by film scholars and critics, despite being heavily criticized upon its release for its explicit gore. It eventually garnered critical acclaim and was selected in 1999 by the Library of Congress for preservation in the National Film Registry as a film deemed culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. Night of the Living Dead. Look at that. Look at that. What a shot. I love that. Just coming out of the woods. Crazy. Hey, it's someone's birthday, too. And then we'll go into the interview that we have tonight planned. And I'm excited about this interview. But there's a birthday. Who's the birthday boy today? This guy. 1932, Albert Collins' birthday. Born in Leona, Texas. American blues guitar. Ice pickin', don't lose your cool, showdown. Albert Collins' distinctive guitar style. He was noted for his powerful playing and his use of altered tunings and a capo. His long association with the Fender Telecaster led to the title, the Master of the Telecaster. But he actually shares that title with Danny Gatton. That was not on Wikipedia. I happen to know that. The Master of the Telecaster. All right. Guys, this is cool. This is cool. I love doing this show. I really do. It's a lot of fun. I wish I had a co-host I could just joke with, but you guys are the jokes, I guess. You guys can do that. Hey, leave a comment. I've got 0 comments. Come on, people. Type in where you're from. Just type it in. Just type. I'd like to know what town you're from. It helps me. And also share. Click on the share button. Just click share and share to your own page. You can keep watching. It doesn't go away. You still watch the show. You just click and share. I would seriously appreciate that. So tomorrow night, 75th episode, and I am going to have a party. I am going to party. I'm probably going to have a nice bottle of wine, chill out. I got a good guest on, Gary Parent. For those of you who don't know Gary Parent or haven't heard of him, he's kind of big in New England. He's known as the man who studies eyes. Eyes, these things. So if you take a close-up of your iris, text it to him, he'll look at it, he can study out what's going on inside your body and say, yeah, you might have some liver damage there, or you might have diabetes or something. So really fascinating, and we're going to show some close-up of eyes, and he's going to talk. It's going to be great. I really look forward to it. Not to miss. Certainly not to miss. But tonight you're in for a treat. My guest is Los Angeles' sensitive singer-songwriter, Ethan Gold. If you're a fan of Elliott Smith, who isn't, right? Hozier, Wilco, Leonard Cohen, Nick Drake, John Lennon, The Beatles, Arcade Fire, Sharon Van Etten, Jeff Buckley, The National, Brian Eno, come on Eno, Talking Heads, Joe Jackson, Elvis Perkins. Heck, if you're just a sucker for a catchy song, check this out.
something nice before we wreck it again. Can't bear to see your sweet face drop like a tear, 'cause I need you here, you know you're my only friend. Our love is beautiful. Our love is beautiful, beautiful.
There he is, Ethan Gold.
Hello.
How's it going, my friend?
Good. I like the font that you used for my name.
Yeah,
It has sort of like a slightly archaic yet slightly Asian flavor,
yes,
subtly.
it's modern, but
Compliment.
it's aged. It's got some. It's historical, right? Very Middle Eastern almost.
Yeah,
It's. Are you a
yeah.
font head? You love fonts?
I do like fonts. I would say for a layperson, I think about fonts more. But for a real font person, I know some real font people. I'm not nearly on the level of depth of knowledge or opinions. But that's a good. I think about graphics sometimes. I'm thinking about my album graphics right now. In fact, I'm supposed to have a meeting later, um, and so I saw what you just did. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Anyway, my compliments,
Yeah, no
and it's
problem.
great to.
I spent hours looking for the right font. But it was a good font. I said, let me do it, make it nice and small, nice little touch at the
Oh,
end.
good,
Let me just start
good.
by saying, first of all, thanks for coming on the show. But that song, Our Love is Beautiful, is in my head. I am in love with that song. Tell me about the origin of it. And I mean, it can be interpreted many different ways, but tell me
Yeah.
about it.
I write a lot of songs in my sleep, actually. And that one, I think that was one that part of the chorus came out of a dream, which is typically what happens. I'll start with just like a little kernel in a dream, and then the whole thing develops while I'm awake. But the song has been interpreted. A lot of people have sung it at weddings and like asked me for like the chords to sing to their beloveds when they're proposing, and they've had a lot of that kind of thing. For
Yeah.
me, as you picked up from the music video, for me, the love that I'm talking about is a bigger, talking about love in a broader sense, kind
Yeah.
of community in general, which the song actually is really about both, about all these things, and about loving yourself in a way. One of the kernels of the song was about a woman that I knew who felt down on herself. And that was one of so there were a bunch of different seeds. There was a seed about feeling like the world is going in the wrong direction. There was a kind of personal self-loathing, among people that I knew, friends who didn't love themselves anyway. But the song, I'm singing about all those things together. Um, yeah,
It's gonna be hard it's gonna be hard writing like a universal song like that because it really came off as a classic, and I don't mean a "We Are the World" kind of thing, but more of an "Imagine," by Lennon. It's kind of
yeah,
not that it sounds like that stylistically, but it's that kind of a Bob Marley esque. Like it's so generic in its imagery that it means much bigger than you think it is. And congrats to you for that. That's got to be hard.
thanks. Yeah, and that was really my intention, honestly. So I'm glad it did that for you. I mean, I'm an independent artist, so now it's like getting the message out. Because as an independent artist, as an independent podcaster or whatever you call this broadcaster,
Yeah,
um,
live
you
streamer.
live streamer, yeah, without the machine behind us, it's hard to get the message out. The videos got sort of a healthy amount of plays on YouTube now. Your listeners can go to your hike, but so I feel. I grew up loving those kinds of songs. Um, People, I had people say, oh, especially with hip hop coming up, there was much more of a tendency towards like lots of specific things in the lyrics, lots of specificity about like the name of the street you were on and all that, this sort of that kind of approach.
Yep.
I always thought of approach to, um, but I've written songs that are way weirder than that one. It's really like, like just like I want this. I want this to. If I want to make a message of unity, I can't make it obscure musically or lyrically. I want it to be presentable to everybody and understandable. Um, I've been in the press. I mean, people are like, oh, you're an avant-garde artist, and this is great. This is such a kind of change for you. I'm like, well, I've done like avant-garde kind of weirder music for sure, but I really admire the classic sort of evergreen, you know, Hallelujah, Leonard Cohen, or Country Roads with John Denver co-wrote some of the names. But the idea of like making something that like
Yep.
a balm soul for everybody and something that lots of people can connect with. So on my next record, I've got a cluster of those. It's not all like that, but I like to write some songs that are like really, really just like an open book, an easy read and something people connect with.
Well, you know what, Ethan? It's kind of like looking at what's going on right now in the world. Well, not the world, but really in the United States with just the division. That song is absolutely perfect. It's so beautiful and innocent. It's almost like there's a lot of fighting going on, and that song, when I heard it, it felt like an innocent little girl just coming onto the stage, and everyone has to stop and look at it because it's that kind of a song. It really is very jarring.
Yeah.
It really grabs you. It's so sweet, very humble and innocent. And I only played like one verse of it, so everybody watching this, and I'm sharing this feed out to many pages, go ahead and just check it out. Our Love is Beautiful, Ethan Gold. I'm guaranteeing you need to hear that right now. Not right now, after the program.
After the show. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that's a funny description of it, like a sweet girl, and I don't dispute that. The songs come to me as I don't know things. They have their own life, they have their own spirit to them. The way
Mm-hmm.
that I write, especially now, I used to write much more like used to put a lot more labor into it, and now I really just sort of accept things as they come
Mm-hmm.
and let them be more. Um, so um, so
Well,
yeah, you can
let me
check out
just
that
say
little.
that I've heard a lot of
Go ahead.
songwriters talk about being the conduit and just being open to that. Do you
Yeah,
feel like that song or even some of your songs are like that? Like you didn't really write it, it just kind of came through you so easy?
absolutely. I consider it like a collaboration more, is sort of the way I see it, but it's definitely like maybe 50% conduit and then 50% my input, and so like typically the beginning of it will be conduit, and then it's like, okay, what is this? And then I get a feel into what the song is wanting to be, what its
Mm-hmm.
meaning is, and how it develops. The development typically, but I've gotten actually, honestly, in the last couple of years, I had a head injury a few years ago, and I've gotten much more, frankly, because there was a period when I couldn't. I was sort of a smarty pants type. My brain was always overactive and stuff,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
was kind of white. My think was quite wiped out. More than memory, but my cognitive ability, the speed of my
Wow.
thinking will drop hugely. And that experience was a couple of years. I mean, it wasn't like I was down for it, but it was a slow, as anybody with traumatic brain injury knows, it's a slow recovery. And I found that the musical impulse has remained that was like one of the first things that I discovered was still there for
Mm-hmm.
me, but and it was also part of my recovery. But also, I found my writing became more instinctual. Like I finished songs in a couple hours now. You know, it might used to take me days or weeks, or I would do some point and I would struggle with it. You know, a couple months later, and now usually by the time it's noon, if I wake up with a kernel, by noon it's done.
Mm-hmm.
Everything.
It's that quick.
So
Wow.
not the recording. I still obsess.
Oh, so you're
Unfortunately, I
pretty
still kind of.
painful in the studio, huh?
I'm still kind of a tweaker in the studio, yeah. But with the writing and the lyrics and the structure, it's significantly faster than it used to be. And that may be also just like reaching a level of like, you know, comfort or, I don't want to say this in a humble way, but a sort of level of mastery where you've written hundreds of songs and I've done music for films, and it's like I have a much deeper and more complex like relationship with songwriting. So I have so many tools and I don't have to think about them anymore. As I'm writing,
Yeah.
I can feel it needs something and then I just do it. I don't have to think about it
It's
or try.
instinctual. Yep.
Yeah,
So you treat the
yeah.
studio
It's like
like a tool
like
when you
like
go in there. Do you kind of leave it open
yeah,
to?
well, like, I treat it like a canvas for me. I like to have both a song that works on an acoustic guitar or piano, and have the recording be a visual voice. The beat studio is filling in all the color, and I love the color. I love in the studio you can shade things and create a whole garden that you're walking into as a listener that
Mm,
takes you on an experience, whether you're listening to headphones or however you're listening. But I definitely enjoy the arranging part and my guitar, but I also can add synthesizers. And I like to create an experience as a recording. So painting is, in fact, I think one next to some of my paintings. I'm not really a painter, but I paint every once in a while.
well,
But the
let me
studio is
let me do a wide
exactly.
shot. Hold on, I could do that for you. Yeah.
Well, it's a messy room.
Oh,
That's a painting of mine, and there's another one there. But I think if this thing is propped up on towels, so I'm frightened to turn it. I might do something else here.
you could turn it. Yeah.
Uh, there, some fish. Anyway, it's something I do once in a blue moon. But anyway, the real painting that I do is with recordings.
Mm-hmm.
Taking the songs and then fleshing them out and putting the color in. And I love that part of the process too. So
Do you
I
did you play all the instruments on your songs?
no, sometimes, in fact, I put out a record some time back called Songs from the Toxic Apartment. It's a
Yep.
very personal record, and I played that whole thing and engineered it at home. But a couple friends, pitched in when I was technically running into problems with basically colored everything, proofed it, mixed it. I'm not a great mixer. That was one really tweak. I mean, I think I did a good job, but so slow. I was just like, I mean, like not level of mastery with mixing. Like I
Yeah.
think I got there. I did not, but this song that you played just now, I didn't play. That one I was at Brad some players makes the recording faster. We tracked live acoustic, electric, bass, drums, and then I added keyboards and we added
Yeah.
various guitar player added a solo, various things.
Right.
So I do both. Sometimes I'll play anything, but more and more these days, I realize there are better players than I am. I'm a decent player, but there are people who are like have that mastery with their instrument. And since I play a bunch of instruments, I don't have that. I have facility, but not mastery with a bunch of things. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so on the recording side, I leave that to the professionals a little more than I used to anyway.
Right. So let me ask you, Ethan. How do you write your music? Is it lyrical thought that comes in your a chorus line, or is it just music? How does it typically
Usually
happen?
it's a chorus line. Usually these days it's a chorus line or it's a verse, like a strong verse thing. And as I said, it's often what I'm seeing. Um, like it happens so often. I heard about Paul McCartney writing yesterday that way. Um, and then I heard that that only happens once. I probably once or twice a week I'll get a song while I'm sleeping, and then about half the time I'll flesh it out in the morning and have a song by noon or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and so it'll start often with the lyric and the melody together. Sometimes I'll change, but usually they arrive kind of together, or there's a musical idea.
Right.
I've started writing some poetry that may shift as because poetry being a very different thing. I remember I used to hear about Leonard Cohen writing poetry and his song. It was like, well, his songs are poetic. Now that I'm writing poetry, kind of as a hobby anyway, in the last couple of years, I've fallen into sort of a poetry scene community here in LA.
Yeah.
And there are events, and I've read poetry at events, and it's cool. There's a cool little, a lot of things people don't think about when they think when they imagine Los Angeles. There's an incredible artist on the east side. This is a huge megalopolis with like 15 million people, and people think about LA and they imagine like what they see on TV shows about Beverly Hills, and that's like as foreign to me as it is to you. So anyway, there's a great community here and poetry, but it's just the way that I think about lyrics
Mm-hmm.
because I learned, because it's really a different thing. You're not thinking about meter in the same way or rhyming. The rhythm has to come from the words on their own.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how my approach to lyrics changes now that poetry is like a part of my life in a way that it wasn't, even though I was writing songs.
Yeah.
But anyway, I always used to hear about Leonard Cohen saying, "Oh, it's very different," and I didn't really understand that until I started. Now I've written, a pretty good amount of poetry, so I get that now, and it's
Mm.
cool, like really getting how it's a different art form.
So now you've written for movie soundtracks. How did that come about?
A couple of the soundtrack. My brother's an independent filmmaker. I've done a few for him, and then some for other people. And for me, it's really a side thing that I enjoy. It's really like it's the painting. That's really the paint. Like I was talking about, the studio, the pleasures of the studio. It's very much, well, it's both painting and it's also, you're subservient to the vision of film. So it's really like I also produce some artists every once in a while. So both of those things are things where it's like, okay, here's a piece, or is a producing, here's an artist. What is the best version of them? How can I find that in terms of arranging their music, working with them to try to generate great performances. And scoring films is kind of similar in a way in that you're like, okay, here's a film, there's this raw footage. Some of it came out great, some of it may not be as, what the filmmaker even wanted, but this is what they've got, and they're working with it, they're struggling with the edit, and then the composer usually comes in pretty late in the process,
Hmm.
which can be difficult because you're like, okay, there's all these relationships, the filmmaker, the editor, attached to certain things. They know there's something that's not working. They may be attached to what's called a temp score, where they've been cutting to music they threw in as like temporary, just sort of placeholder stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it's an unfortunate thing that's happened in the scoring world that just the way people cut now, the temp score, because it is easier with technology, the temp score has become such a common way of working, and I feel a burden to the composer because I want to come up with something really new and that really serves the art, but the director has become so used to the stuff that they did just as placeholder music.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to kind of like way to create something new, but not have them go, I don't understand this, but in the attempt for this year, and I'm like, I know it's a different piece of music, like it's not going to do the same thing, but
Yeah.
you can see where this is what I'm trying to get from the scene is X, something else, and but I'm a very thematic composer. I like to come up with strong thematic melodic material that can be repeated through the film and build resonance as the film goes. So I've been hired to do, I've done a few kind of bigger, I did a movie called Don't Let Go a year and a half ago, I guess, which
Yeah.
was what was the studio that did like Get Out. And so it was a horror thriller with a little bit of a sci-fi element to it. And I think I was brought on as the guy to bring some like heart into the thing while keeping it also scary and technological.
Yeah.
I think that's what I was able to bring to that one was keep, make it disturbing, make it futuristic a little bit, but also have some like emotion that builds through kind of thematic material that is memorable and immediately draws you in emotionally. So that's what I think what my sweet spot. I'm not a great imitator. I think there are people who are more like incredible craftsmen, craftswomen of composing, and I'm more of a feel guy. Anyway, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was listening to Don't Let Go. It's beautiful. I haven't heard all of it yet. I'm on my way there. Probably by tomorrow I'll listen to the whole thing, but it's beautiful. I love it.
Thank you.
Crazy names too. I was telling my son some of the names, like My Family Is Dead. I think was that one of them?
Yeah, that's a pretty brutal piece. My Family Is Dead.
You think?
The titles of the sometimes I've done scores where I end up changing the titles when it goes on a soundtrack album. In this case, I just used the titles as there's something called a cue sheet. Maybe some of your listeners know, but it's kind of like the map of all the pieces of music that the filmmaker and the editors are using, and it kind of describes what's happening in the scene, and sometimes might be a line of dialogue. So in this case, I just title things. I used the titles that were kind of the working titles of the film.
Yeah, I always wondered how they named that those pieces that go in a soundtrack. Is it up to the composer of the film, the music of the film, to do that, or is it a little bit like, hey, we need?
I think it's usually starts with the editor or the music editor or the director. The composer, I'm sure, in most cases is allowed to change it because it doesn't really affect anybody except perhaps the composer if they put out a soundtrack album. And there are cases in the past where I changed the titles, and honestly, for me, it just ended up being sort of confusing on some prior film. So this one, I was just like, I'm just going to use the titles that they use and leave it at, and because they were descriptive of what was happening in the film. And I thought some of them were actually kind of poetic. Like there was one, God Rising, which is almost basic. It's the second to last piece in the film, but it's the piece that ends the film before the end credits. And the director, Jacob Estes, I think that was he wanted to call it that. And I was very happy with that title. And it tapped into what I was wanting to create musically, which was a sense of getting an uplift out of darkness.
So as a composer for a film, do you go in thinking, okay, I'm a slave to the film? Or do you feel like, no, I'm kind of creating my own piece here that's partnering with a film? Because I would think if you're going into the studio, you've got your own songs and you're doing your own thing, you're the commander in chief. But don't you feel like you might be a slave to something? Does that feel natural or no?
Yes.
I'm curious about that.
Yes, and that's where the fact that I think I'm not a craftsman like the way some people are makes it, I think, emotionally more difficult for me to do scoring than it might be for people who are more like have a kind of craftsman mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Because I definitely understand that I am in a subservient position when I'm doing scoring, in that, I've been brought on to hopefully improve, and music has, as I'm sure you know, as somebody who loves music, like it has a massive difference on how a film comes across. I mean, a lot of people don't realize how much the music affects whether you like a movie, what happens.
Oh
It's
yeah.
not a small thing at all. Um, I mean, you could experiment with, like, if they've done some like jokes where they like swap the music out, and it's just like it can make acting seem good, it can make acting seem bad. I mean, it's um, anyway, but so the sort of subservient position, definitely that, as a composer, I want to bring as much of my own personal spirit as I can, finding that ultimately I don't have the executive, you know, it's not ultimately, it's their call. If they're like, this isn't working, and here, if they can, hopefully, if they can explain why. Sometimes if they're not musicians, sometimes they have trouble explaining what they want different, which is one of the
Mm-hmm.
frustrations. Change it, and they say one thing, and you give them what seems exactly like what they asked for, and they're like, well, I didn't want that. I'm like, this is precisely what you said you wanted.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think that's a common thing for composers in the film world. It's one of the reasons for me I'm really going back hard into my song stuff, because that's where my real love is, and
Yeah.
um, I would like to continue scoring every once in a blue moon. If I score a film every couple of years, that's enough for me, and I'm much more interested in. I have a double album of songs. I have hundreds of songs waiting impatiently, knocking
Yeah,
on
well,
my.
well, tell me about the new release. I want to get into that. So, how's that coming out?
Yeah, so the plan was to release it this year. It doesn't look like it's going to happen, which I'm a little frustrated by. But again, the independent operator, there's so many kind of moving parts to set up, and so um, I'm making myself feel better by adding a couple of new songs to the record. That way,
There
it's
you
just
go.
to help me feel okay about the delay. Right now, the plan is something like end of February. It will be a double album, 22 songs, so these are
Wow,
two vinyl.
Ethan, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Is that
but it's a
because of the
staple.
delay and having to add some songs, or you think it was going that
No,
way
no,
anyway?
I'm just adding to. I was going to be 20 anyway, but um, but I'm adding to, really. You were mentioning about the state of the world. One of them is very much about the state of the world that we're in right now. Um, um, Trying to kind of be a humanizing influence on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
culture. And so that one I felt really kind of urgently I wanted to add to the record. I don't know where we're going to be as a country in February. I have some fears about what November and December look like, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Um, but so yeah, I've got. I mean, you know, I've got a lot of songs waiting in the wing, because I've got, hundreds and hundreds of songs. So for me, that doesn't seem like a lot of songs to put out. I know these days most people need more songs, and here I am coming around with like a double record, like it's 1974 or whatever. When that was common, that was like considered like a cool move, and now it's like, what? Nobody does. What do you, I mean, the fact that nobody does it, and it's really not normal. I kind of
Yeah.
like. I'm like, cool.
It's
I'm
very
going against.
sticks. It's very sticks.
Yeah, yeah. The music is not very sticks,
No, I know, but
it is. But
the
yeah, I mean,
grand illusion. Yeah.
yeah,
Let me tell
exactly.
you, I heard the song "Not Me, Us" that
Yeah.
you composed. Tell me about that. That's in support of Bernie Sanders, and or is it? Is it not? What is that?
Well, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was. Uh, that song's not. The record's called. By the way, the record. I didn't. That's right. The record's going to be called Earth City, and it's about about the planet and cities and our alienation from each other and this cycle. And there's some anyway, but for us, it's not going to be on the album. I wrote it. Not me, us, but Bernie Sanders slogan, the Bernie 2020 there. Actually, and I knew some people who were involved with the campaign and asked me to well, they were kind of peripherally involved. They were like, you should write a song, you can do something. And I felt like the message, the Bernie message was coming across a lot more radical than it actually was. I think it's a summation of my feeling about it. Like, I feel like some of the ways even he talked about what his intentions were like why, on a personal level, I'm like, why are you saying Democratic Socialist? You're actually like a European Social Democrat, which is actually a different thing. It's much less scary sounding, and in a way, I guess I felt like there was a common thread of people in this country struggling. And so I wrote a song really just about this, like, I go through members of the family, mother, fathers, grandmother, grandfather, son, daughter in the verses, and really just singing about the struggles of, health and economically, that, we've become a country where the majority of people are struggling. It's crazy. I mean, it's not what it was for, since the Second World War anyway.
It's a beautiful video too. I love how it was filmed.
Thank you. Yeah, that was on my phone. This is the cameraman.
Yeah.
Camera crew.
And you just ran it through an app that kind of vectorized it all and made it cartoony.
Exactly.
It's really, really well done. Not Me, Us. Look that up too.
Yeah.
Watch that one.
Yeah, my intention is I actually considered making it less about Bernie, but I felt like because, frankly, the phrase "not me, yes" came from the guy to be like acting like I didn't have anything to do with that. So the campaign was actually, I sent it to them, and I heard 48 hours before he suspended, heard that they liked it and that he saw it, and they wanted to run it as an ad, and then he suspended his campaign. So then I just changed it and put "thank you, Bernie," and put it out kind of.
Right. Yeah, get it out there.
It's important for me to honor the campaign because that was where the phrase came from, and it was sort of my gift to the movement. I wish that the movement had presented itself as more middle of the road, frankly.
Yeah, centrist. Yeah, I think that it was dangerous.
Yeah, and I felt, honestly, like, I don't think the positions are actually that radical. That's what's kind of disappointing to me in terms of like the marketing of it. And in a way, what I wanted to do with this song was say, hey, this stuff is actually just people, everybody, we need a little more fairness. It's kind of simple, and that's what I wish they had done in terms of their branding, and it's what I wanted to do with that song. So, hi, OZL.
Yeah, he's saying Wine with Dave. He's got his own show. He's. I was just watching Oziel's show. That's when you and I were talking. I said, "Hold on, let me shut this down. I'm watching another show."
Okay.
I'm not only Hair Club for Men. I'm also a member. It's like not only do I have a live show, I also watch other live shows. He's got a show with a guy that I had on, Don. Great guys. I mean, they're hilarious. They're fun, and they just had their 25th episode tonight. They ended the season, kind of taking a break, going to be doing some other shows. So, yeah, he just turned on. So, how are you, Oziel? Great being on the show. With me is Ethan Gold from California. So, you were born in San Francisco, right? Raised in California. And I didn't know, I just did a little research on you. I didn't know, and my condolences that your mom had passed away. She was in the helicopter crash that killed Bill Graham and some other people, the big rock and roll promoter. Yeah,
she was dating him. I mean, it was sort of not publicly. It was a horrible thing. I mean, that's just
Do
it.
you, yeah. Do you and again, I'm sorry, but I do need to ask.
Yeah, it's a long time ago. I
Do
mean,
you dig into pain? Does that help you be
yes.
empathetic, like going through stuff like
Well,
that? Does that help you
yeah.
really connect?
I mean, I haven't shied from pain, that's for sure. Sometimes I wonder if I have, you know, like a lot of people have been through trauma, and that was not the only trauma I went through as a kid. Um, I think trauma could become a kind of big discussion, which, whatever, you can tell me if we're going too deep into something, but I think trauma can become addictive. Like not consciously, not deliberately, but there's a sense of it's almost like you're imprinted with fucked up. Excuse me, I don't know idea. You're imprinted with like bad stuff, right? And then, uh, and I don't know, spiritually, karma wise, or there's some kind of setup where, yeah, it's almost like metaphorically, I'm thinking of kind of like the idea, the sort of cliche idea of like women or men, but there's this sort of cliche of like women being in abusive relationships or whatever, or
Hmm.
they were abused as children, ending up in an abusive relationship. There's not, it's not like the woman says, "Hey, I want to have more awful stuff. I want to have an awful husband or whatever," but it's almost like you get imprinted in a certain way, and then you end up repeating those things in your life. So anyway, yes, I've gone into it. For me, music is like, you know, a depth charge. I go deep. I have to go to some very dark places, honestly. So something like this song you played, "Our Love Is Beautiful," which is very sweet. A lot of people can pick up on
Mm.
that sweetness doesn't come out from somebody who hasn't been through stuff. You know, it, it, it comes out of like you go through the darkness and then you try to bring some light up or bring some light into it
Yep,
yourself.
yep, yep.
I try to comfort myself through my own music, and I get people writing me like, "Your music comforts me." I'm like, that's great. That's what I'm doing. That's what, and I get it because it's like if it doesn't comfort me, it doesn't comfort you.
Well, I'll
Um,
tell you, today I listened to the song again, Our Love is Beautiful. And please, if you're watching this, you got to check it out. Our Love is Beautiful. So, Ethan, I cried, okay? That's got to be the biggest compliment. Someone cried over a song. It was, I had a tough week. I had a couple things happen. One thing I will say that, we adopted two kids in Russia. And many years ago, 14 years ago, I've been searching for my daughter's birth mom, and after 14 years I finally got the connection. We found her in the middle of Russia. She died 2 years ago. We just missed her, and I told my daughter, and it was just heartbreaking. So we're still grieving right now, and
yeah,
then your song couldn't have come into my mind at a better time, because I knew the interview was coming up. I'm like, I better start listening to some of his music so I know what's going on. And I already heard one or two, and I was like, wow, this is good. I want to have him on the show. Then that song came on, and I played it to my wife tonight. I went on the TV, and I played the YouTube video on the TV, and video is fantastic, by the way, and I want to talk about that. And I cried, and I need to know, I need to tell you, thank you so much for writing that, because Our Love is Beautiful. I think how I see that is my wife and I, our love is beautiful, that we adopted these kids. Even though we're fallible, we're not perfect, our love is beautiful. We did this. We saved them. My daughter would have not had a mom like 2 years ago, and she's 15 now, so she would have lost her mom at 13.
yeah.
I mean, there's many other things I can tell you about. We could talk privately, but that and other stuff, and it was kind of a really sad week for me. And but thank you for writing the song. I don't want it to be about me, but great
No,
song, and it was so
you're
beautiful.
welcome. I'm sorry I'm sorry to hear you've had a rough week, and that and whatever else that is even maybe rougher that you can't feel here. So it seems to be part of the deal in life.
It
Is that
is.
there's pain and there's pain that's really obvious, and then there's like ambiguous stuff that you don't even know how to process. Sometimes that's harder. So my advice to you as a human, music aside, thank you for. I'm glad it's you continue to listen and all that. But I don't know if I could. It's a piece of advice that pops into my head that I want to remind you is that all your feelings, even the ones that are kind of weird, are allowed, especially when you're going through like difficult, traumatic moments. I think a lot of people say, "Oh, this doesn't make sense." They don't process it, and that those become like stones in your psyche that churn. And so, like, I mean, it could have classic example like losing somebody you know dies. Some of the feeling is I don't really know what to think about that, and some of it is like total horror. If you allow them yourself to feel the like obvious ones, you know, I feel sad or whatever, but also the kind of strange, I don't even know how to process this type
Mm-hmm.
ones. And it sounds like this thing for your daughter, you know, is probably going to be really complex. You know,
Yeah.
it's like you're like, I feel sad, I feel angry. She might be angry at you guys, but like somehow I mean, she might. I don't know. I mean, it could be any number of strange,
Right. A lot of emotion. Yep.
different emotions. So I guess I'll allow it in you, allow it in her too, so that it can kind of resolve itself. I don't know.
Right.
It's just
Right.
my thought. Anyway, but thank you. I know going off it's by saying all that, but you know, my condolences for
Yeah. No,
whatever.
I appreciate it, Ethan. On a lighter note, because this is a painful world, but what is your favorite place on earth? Do you have a place to go to get away, and how do you deal with COVID and all of this stuff going on? What do you do to recharge?
Well, I generally get alone to recharge. I'm really kind of a loner. But as far as places on Earth, I'm not going. I'm barely leaving the house this year. So, but in an ideal world, favorite places on Earth, I'll tell you a few places from my Art Love is Beautiful video that I just loved. Um, Osaka, in Japan, is
Really?
crazy and amazing. Um, Zion National Park. I should have a clearer answer for you. I also have I have a little bit of, I have some Scottish blood, and I felt a strong resonance in Scotland and also in northeastern England, like Northumberland County. So like lowland Scotland and northern England has a strong resonance for me. So at various places, I think we all have them. Places where we kind of we feel like we already knew them the first time we were ever there,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so I should have prepared a clearer answer, but those are.
I put you on the spot. What's your favorite color and shape?
Um,
That's an easier one. We'll go there. We'll do you.
I don't think I've ever heard that question. What is your favorite shape?
What's your favorite? Trapezoid and beige. You know what my favorite
Yeah.
place is? Iceland, because I was there
Yeah.
about 7 years ago, and I got to go back. I went with my cousin. Him and I were like brothers practically, but we always wanted to go. We went, and the wives stayed home, and so now we came back, showed photos. They're like, we should have went. We didn't know it was like that. Like, yeah, it's Blue Lagoon,
Yeah.
104-degree water, and it's nature with a capital N. So
Yeah.
that's where I would go.
Yeah. Iceland is amazing.
And dude, the musicians there are super cool. I mean, you got Bjork, you got everybody is just there's so many people jammed into that one city that they're all influencing one another. So all their music there's a lot of classical music, there's a lot of jazz, there's indie, there's rock, there's synth, there's house.
Yeah.
It's everything.
I recorded. I did part of a score. Well, just one song, but I recorded a guy named American singer. Oops, sorry for that noise.
That's all right.
An American singer named John Grant, who is kind of he's not as known in the States. He's a big name over in Europe, but he lives in Iceland. And I recorded him for a soundtrack for a movie called The Song of Sway Lake. And there's one song that we wanted to do, a song that sounded like it was like 1939 or 1940. So it's a song that I wrote, and we chose him as the singer, and he did it incredible. Anyway, but I flew to Iceland to do the vocal session. It's the most.
How was that? How was that going over there?
Any musical session of any kind. I actually went to another country to do it, but which was fun, and he and I've become friendly. But he did a great job, and we arranged it to sound like 1939 or 1940. The song is called Sway Lake, and it's the John Grant version. There's a few different versions of it on that score.
Well, I started to listen to Sway Lake, and there was a female singing on that. Is that not your piece?
That is no. There.
It sounds like a 1940s torch song. Beautiful.
The torch song, I think, is the John Grant, and that's a man. Maybe it sounds like a woman. I also have another version of the song, which is sung by a group called the Staves, who are an English trio.
The Staves, yep.
And that version is the way it shows in the film is meant to sound more like the kind of slightly kind of overly white swing jazz, kind of late 40s, post-war sort of razzle dazzle, kind of like the Anderson.
Yeah.
So, and then we arranged it multiple ways, and it shows up in the film in different ways. But the version that I did in Iceland with John Grant is more of the sort of slow torch song. It's meant to sound like a recording that was done in a barn, like late night after a wedding. So it has a flavor of kind of languor and sadness. That's called the Lost Record. Well, it's called Sway Lake, the Lost Record version. And it's actually the first on that.
The Lost Record, because there's a big band version with the Staves. Yeah.
That's the one the Staves sing.
Yeah, I got to stop.
And then the rest, the rest of it is my score, but I wrote the song as well. So, and the score of the song is something that I like to do. Use themes that, if you listen to that album, you notice that some of the themes, like micro melodies from the song that I wrote, show up in piano pieces, or even sort of electronic pieces. There's some kind of atmospheric stuff. A lot of those themes repeat in very different ways, and even those two versions of that song, Sway Lake, are extremely different kind of feelings of the same melodic and lyrical material.
Well, I am going to listen to that. We live about 3 blocks from the bay and the ocean, and we're called the Ocean State, so we have a lot of ocean here, more ocean than land. So I'm going to put the headphones on and listen to Sway Lake. Ethan, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I feel the fog of Rhode Island. I don't know if you have fog, but I'm imagining the sea air, and I appreciate.
You can imagine that, and we're getting a lot of that. We got a lot of fog. Yeah. And actually, one of my did you know facts from last night was, and specifically in New England, this happens when the weather is warm in the fall. That's when the big spiders enter the house. And it's like, it's so true. Yeah, warmer falls mean bigger spiders in your house.
Huh. They're trying to get away from...
I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know. It's not cold. It's warmer. They should stay outside. I haven't seen any, but I've seen a few crawl up outside our house. But anyway, yeah, fall in New England is absolutely freaking amazingly beautiful. It just is. There's no other way.
Yeah.
So it's really good.
blessings to you and your family. I hope everything this becomes an opportunity for more connection and
Yeah.
more love in your family. And it's really great talking with you about music and life.
Yeah, and
So
thank you. Thanks for coming on. And I feel like I got a friend for life here. I'm following you. Everybody go to ethangold.com and follow Ethan. Great musician, singer, songwriter, sensitive. You might not like the sensitive word, but you are sensitive. You got to be a bit of an empath to be a songwriter, right? You're trying to connect.
the way I do, yeah.
The way you do, yeah. All right, well, thank you so much, Ethan. Take care, buddy.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. That was great. What a good guy. Really good guy. Great album. Oh, my gosh. All the songs are fantastic. Well, I'm going to close up tonight, and sometimes I end with a joke. Let me see. Do I have a joke? Do I have a joke? You know what? I don't think I have a joke. I don't have a joke for tonight. Actually, I do. I am not a comedian. You don't take this long to say the joke if you're professional. You just kind of do it. And I'm going to end with. Wait a minute. Where is it? I thought I just. Here it is. Here it is. Boom. All right. I got a joke. You guys ready for a joke? What did Blackbeard say when he turned 80? Because, he had a birthday, too. He turned 80. What did Blackbeard say when he turned 80? I matey. I matey. I matey. I matey. I didn't say it was good. I just said it was a joke. Take care, everybody. Tomorrow night, 75th episode. Be there and pate.